Welcome to the mud shop. I'm going to try something a little different today. I've got a block of clay, you can see. I'm going to take my wire cutter and cut off a chunk. Probably 6 to 8 pounds. Clean off my wire cutter, set it to the side. Here's the amount of clay I'm going to work with today. Wrap up all the rest of it, keep all the air off of the clay. Okay, now the clay is pretty firm, so I want to wake it up and get the particles kind of going together. So I'm going to use the rolling pin. Now I can roll this out completely with the rolling pin. Keep lifting and turn. Lift and turn. I'm mostly doing this until it softens up some. You can feel it. If you can push your finger in it and it leaves little indentions where your fingers are. Flip it over this side a little bit. Alrighty. Now I could finish it with the rolling pin, but I choose not to. Why wear yourself out if you don't have to? I have a slab roller here. I'll bring this to about an inch. Put this in between the two pieces of canvas. Turn this great big wheel. Bring it back. I'm going to bring this down, thin it out about 1/4 of an inch each time. Lift the clay over, turn it around. Cover it back up with the canvas. I want to try to stay out of the view of the camera. Maybe I won't be able to. Bring this down about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Run it through again. This is how I get my slabs ready to work. Lift it, flip it. Bring it down another 1/4 of an inch. Now, I'm going to get it back to this side first so that I can, this will be about 5/8 inch. Yeah. Canvas wanted to go down in the edge there. All right, I'm going to roll it back through a couple times to get it good and compressed. Got a problem here. All right, the clay buckle. Just take this off. I want to compress it real well, so I'm bringing it back and forth a few times. Right, and that's it. The clay is rolled out. Now I'm ready to work with my slab. Okay, I'm going to take the rib and wet it and compress. Now by compressing it, I'm slightly pushing. I've got the rib kind of to an angle and compressing it real well. If you don't, you may have a problem when you fire it, it may crack. And so I'm going to turn it over and use my rib to compress the other side. Right. And my clay is ready to use. Right, I'm going to bring my clay over here to my workspace. I use U-Edge work mats. They're a silicone work mat. And the clay will not stick to it. And you can't harm it. Alright, since I moved it, I will compress it one more time. Make sure it stays flat. Okay. Now I am going to make one dish to show you how I do some of my smaller pieces. I'm going to release this from the board. It's not sticking. Let's see, I think I want to make an oval dish. So I want to make one that's, I believe that's enough clay to make a bowl. So that's what I'm going to do. I have some GR pottery forms. They're just made out of wood. And I think I want some texture in this. Let's see, I do believe I want to use a placemat. This is just a placemat from dollar store or somewhere I found. Okay, I'm getting it laid out flat. I'm going to take my rolling pin and roll it into the clay gently. Make sure that it's, you can see the clay coming up through the holes just a little bit, and you know you've got good texture on it. Come over to this end. Okay, very well. Next, I'm going to decide how much of this clay I need to cut off a little extra and move out of the way. I think we'll just cut it right through here. Cut the excess off. Set it over a little bit. Alright, I'm going to put these forms. This one would make the bottom a little bit more narrow than I would like. So I'm going to line these forms up real well. I'm going to wet my sponge and put a little bit of moisture in between the two forms. It kind of causes a little bit of friction so they stay together a little better. All right, line it up. Okay, I have it on a work surface. It's just a piece of plywood. And I'm going to remove the texture mat. And I'll bring the clay a little closer and show you the texture on there. See that texture? Okay, I'm carefully going to lay this down. I think I want this close to the center. Alright. Now I'm going to pull this a little bit. Let me slide my board a little bit away so you can see it better. Okay. I am going to pull this up against the form. Press it around the form, and I don't want to push out because then it thins out the clay up here, and I don't want to do that because it can cause cracking. Alright, I'm going to get a softer rib, wet it just a little bit. Alright, and make sure this is up against this form real well. Okay. And I can do this, if it's a round form, I can do this on the pottery wheel, and it keeps everything in the round real well. It's a lot quicker to do too. Alright. Now I believe I want a foot on this bowl. I do want a lip on it, and I want a foot on it. So I'm going to cut off a little excess around this edge and a little off this edge. I'm not getting too close because I do want a lip on this bowl. Now I'm going to flip this up because it's got the texture on it. I'm going to make feet. This is a foot tool. It looks just like a corn on the cob skewer, but it's actually sort of like that, but it's leveled off. So I'm going to put this at the edge of the clay and pull it through. It makes a uniform strip that is tapered at the top, and I know I'm going to need more than one, so I'm going to pull it through again and get at least 2 of these. It's possible it may take 3, but I can just cut another one if I need to. Alright, I'm taking my extra clay and setting it to the side. I believe 2 will do it. Now I'm going to take, you can see it's tapered. Maybe you can see it. It's wider at the bottom. I'm going to turn it around where the wide side is up, because that's going to be the part that I attach to the bottom of the bowl. I have a serrated rib. You see, it's got little teeth on it. I'm going to scratch the surface gently of this clay, because this clay is still pretty wet and you can smash it if you're not careful. I don't want to get it out of its form. Alright, and I've scratched that pretty well. Also going to scratch the top of the bowl. Well, that'll be the bottom of the bowl, but I'm scratching here where I want my foot to be attached. Alright. Now, I'm going to use some slip, which is the same type of clay that I'm using. I have slip for all the different types of clay that I use. Pardon me while I get a stool wet. So I put a little bit of the clay in here, and I add some water, and I'm going to spritz a little bit more water into this, and it makes it looks like mud. And I'm going to take just a stiff bristle brush, paintbrush, and I use it in my slip. Okay, wet it pretty good, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this right along where I scored it, where I scratched the surface. And I'm going to put a little bit on my little feet that I made. This is going to be like when you're making it on the wheel and the next day you turn it over to trim it, and you trim around and leave a little foot on the bottom. That's what I'm doing here. I'm attaching that piece. Alright, got it all moist. Okay, now I'm going to take this, turn the slip side against the slip side, line it up evenly around my bowl. Alright, now I'm mashing down enough, bring my finger around the edge to seal it. I want to get a good join, a good seal on it, but I don't want to mash the shape away from it. I want to keep it shape. Alright, let's see, here's my sponge. Wipe away some of that excess. Now we'll start on this end and put this one. Now I'm overlapping, but I'm going to cut away into where it matches. Now I'm going to show you a little closer. I've got 2 pieces, sort of like I've got this. Now I'm overlapping them so that I can cut them at an angle. I'll come this way and cut away the other pieces, remove them, and I have a beveled edge, and I've stacked these beveled edges together. You see it has more surface area to stick together, and I'll score these and slip these, and they'll come together. And that's what I'm doing for my feet. So I'm going to come here and see, I don't want my hand to be in the way. Cut at an angle, remove this piece, lift it up and remove this piece. I will score each end and put a little slip on each end and join them. Okay. Alright. Now I want to get a good join here all the way around. Run my finger down and seal it. And I'll do the same here. I'm going to cut at an angle, remove this piece, lift this, and remove this piece. Put a little bit of, I'm going to get slip onto my serrated rib, and slip and score all in one time, all together. All right, and I'm getting a good join here. Now I want to make sure that this is in place all the way around. Everything is in the round, so to speak, where it's supposed to be, sealed up good all around these edges. And you can use a tool. I have tools that are good for this, but I just seems like it just smooths out better using your hands. God gave me these tools and I'm using. All right. Now, I want to use my maker's mark while I still have the forms under it to give support. A maker's mark is where I put my name on the bottom. I have a stamp and I have cornstarch and just a little makeup brush. And yes, this is cornstarch just like what you use in the kitchen. I'll get a little cornstarch on my brush, tap a little off of it, just brush on a little bit where I'm going to make the stamp. Line my stamp up. You see it's got my name and my mark on it. And just press it in. Okay, get that done. Let's see if I can turn it up and let you see. Here's the bottom with the foot and Diana's mud shop written on it. Okay. Now to make my lip. Now I'm going to decide how big of a lip I want. Now if this is square, I could take a straight edge, which I have little strips of wood that I use to make a straight edge, and I just cut along it. I decide what size I want of a lip. Now I don't want big enough lip that it's going to fall or sag whenever it's firing, but I do want a little bit of a lip. So I guess you can fiddle with it till you end up messing it up. I guess I need to leave it alone. Okay, so now to figure out how big I want my lip, and I'm thinking right here at my finger. So I am going to mark 1 knuckle length all the way around, and then I'm just going to freehand cut this. Let's see, let me turn my board. You can see, I know right about there, all the way around. This is an oval. If it was round, I could just put it on the wheel and hold my blade at a certain angle, and as the wheel spins, cut it, and it would be perfect. But it's not round, so this is what it looks like. You see I've got the clay scored all, got little marks all the way around it. Now I'm going to freehand cut this from one mark to the other. Board. And I really don't know how big of a lip this is. I didn't measure it. I just used 1 knuckle length. Almost. And there we go. I'm going to put a release cut. Alright, I'm going to pick this up all the way around, and I will get all my pieces together. I will reuse all this clay. Okay, I'm going to spritz a little bit of water on it so it doesn't dry out till I'm ready to redo it. Alright, my sponge, bring it around and kind of smooth it out. Now this will have to set for a little while before it's ready to turn out. But when it's ready, I'll take another board and set on top of it and flip them over and remove the form. And you have just helped me make a bowl in the mud shop. I have to admit, this is the first oblong oval bowl that I've made. I guess I can go ahead and get a board and flip it over and show you. I can't take the forms out yet, but I just line up another board on top, get my hand under it and over it, flip carefully, right? Carefully release that clay around the edges. If I can get it. Can't find the edge of the clay. There it is. Alright, and lift it up. Alright, I do need to trim a little bit. Let's see. I also can wait till it is leather hard and use a sure form to trim it up, which I guess that's the best thing to do. Alright, so I'll cut right here. Let's see anywhere else I need to cut. Alright, and you can see we have, you can see the lip around it and the texture that is on the lip. You can see the depth of the bowl. Let me get in the way of the light. You can see how deep the bowl is and the size it is. Here's my hand. So this is a nice size bowl, and we made that in just 22 minutes from the block of clay till now, which it is not finished because we have to wait. It'll take several hours for it to dry enough to pull the forms out. It'll take a couple days for it to dry enough to take the sure form and smooth out the rim. It'll take about a week to 2 weeks to completely dry enough for a bisque fire. Bisque fire takes 13 hours to fire. Then it has to be glazed and refired again, and the glaze fire takes about 10 hours to fire. So there we go. I'm going to flip this back over for now so the lip does not sag. I want it to have a good strong lip on it. And I'll set this on my drying rack, and before I leave the shop this evening, I will remove the forms out of it, and tomorrow I'll come and smooth it out. And you have just helped me make a bowl in the mud shop. Just don't slide it off trying to show it. So I thank you for joining me. When I get the next stages, I'll take pictures and I'll share it with you. Thanks. Bye.